Good morning, grade sevens, or actually good afternoon. Welcome to our STEM Digital Lockdown School. It's absolutely awesome to have you. And today, as I said yesterday, we're going to do some reading and viewing. Okay, so let's see where we are. My name is Sheena Cooney, and I'll be your teacher today. There's my email address if you want to send me any content related to our lesson today. Okay, then you can just send it to me and we can have a look and we can even share it in our next lesson. Okay, so today we will listen and answer questions about various poems because we had a lot of fun doing that yesterday. And so today we are going to, hello guys, I see you saying hello, it's great to see you and to have you here. We're going to practice predicting, listening for information, summarizing our main ideas, okay, and all the values and messages that we convey during poetry. All right, so we're going to do, but today we are going to do it more on a comprehension base. So we're going to be reading various types of poems, and then we're going to actually ask questions about them. Okay, so you can use the chat to ask questions, to answer questions, as long as it's related to what we're doing, okay? You can take down notes as we go, so that if you want to say something later when a question is asked, you at least can do that. All right, so if you missed yesterday, don't worry, we do have it online, so you can go watch it at any time. Right, now I just want to brush through the elements of poetry. All right, so there are lots of elements of poetry. We went through quite a few of them yesterday, but some we haven't touched on and might not even come up for you this year. But at least if we read over them today, you'll know them and you'll have them. So we have the mood and tone, which is the feeling you feel, the feeling you get when you read a poem. Symbolism is when something represents or stands for something else. So you're symbolizing something. For example, I'm going to give you a very basic example, but a stop sign symbolizes stopping. So the minute you see that shape with the red, even if it doesn't say stop on it, you'll stop. So that's symbolism. Meter is the rhythm or beat established by the poem. You can have different poems with rhythms and beats, but they might have a different meter, okay, different pause, different place where the beat takes place. Rhyme, when you write a poem or you read a poem and the words have the same sound at the end of a line, must be at the end of a line. Then we have our figurative language, which is a lot of fun. So we have similes, metaphors, hyperboles, idioms, personification, and they really bring a poem alive and make it fun. We also have form. For example, are you going to do a cinquain poem, which is, or a free verse, or a haiku, or a ballad, or a limerick, or a sonnet, or an ode? I think I do have this on my slide further on down that we can go into. Okay, so free verse we did touch on yesterday is when there is no rhyming. Okay. A ballad is like a song, but it's a poem. All right. I think you might have done haiku and limerick in class already. So we have connotation and denotation. So the only difference between those two words is that connotation is you associating a word with something, but it's not the real meaning. You using your own meaning or you're associating it with something else. Denotation is when you give the actual meaning of the word, the actual dictionary meaning, like from the dictionary. Okay. Then you have repetition, when you repeat a word, you repeat a line, you repeat a phrase or anything like that, just to emphasize it. If, for example, if your poem is about running, you're going to go run, run, run. So you repeat the same word in a line. Or remember yesterday we did that poem about up. So up, up. So you emphasizing the direction. Okay. So now we are getting somewhere. We have alliteration, which we definitely, I think you all know how to do that. And a good example that one of our learners yesterday pointed out is you remember alliteration by the double L, double consonants. So your words start with the same beginning sound, like little Lucy, or she sells on the seashore. All right, and then we have our imagery when we use words that help us to imagine what is happening. Words that appeal to our sight, to our touch, to our smell, to our sound, to our taste. So if a poem has the word sweet or sour in it, you can associate it to taste. Even smell, actually. Irony is used when there's a difference between the way something appears and what's actually true. All right, so something appears a certain way, but it's not really the truth. Have you ever heard the saying, the irony of it? Voice, that is example, who's the narrator? So who's the speaker in the poem? Sometimes the speaker in the poem is the subject in the poem as well. Okay, and how does the poem indicate what we know about them? Maybe the poem doesn't indicate anything we know about them, but maybe it's a famous author, like Dr. Seuss. We know Dr. Seuss, so what do we know about Dr. Seuss? What do we know about his poetry? Then you have assonance, which is, I literally call it the opposite to alliteration. So also words with the same sound, but it's the middle vowel sound. Okay, so it focuses on the middle vowel. Then you have diction. This is the language we use in poetry. It's basically how you're going to write something. What vocabulary are you going to use? What phrasing are you going to use? Have you ever heard or been told in class when you're doing spelling or something, the teacher says they're going to ask you to write a dictation down, so they're going to dictate something for you. And so you take it down the way you hear the language used. All right. Then you have stanza, which is your verses. So you divide your lines up into groups. So there we go. Those are all the elements of poetry. There are a few you probably won't be learning about right now, but we'll focus on the ones we will be learning about. And you can always use it later on and at least say you know it. So remember this, acrostic poem. This is when we use the first letter of each line and it's uppercase and it forms the word. So the word is the subject in the poem. For example, if you look at the capital letters on each line and you look and you see how bold they are, they even underline them in this example. Now, if you had to read the word vertically, it says winter. So now the poem, the associating sentences are probably going to be about winter. And if we read it, we will probably hear that it doesn't really rhyme, but it does talk about winter. Welcome, Kendra. It's nice to have you back. Okay, so white fluffy snow all around. Ice skating is fun to do. Need to wear a hat and gloves. Trees have lost their leaves. Enjoying hot chocolate. Really cold outside. So it doesn't rhyme, but it does talk about winter. Oh, you got my name. That's so cute, Joanna. Surround me today, however, eager people end up being the needy and never survive in my world. Oh, it's cool. You use my name. That's so cool. Thank you. And then you also have concrete and shape poems. This is quite, I find it can't always be easy to do because you're actually writing your poem in the shape of what the poem is about. So, for example, the snowman, it's actually written about a snowman and it's got the shape of a snowman. It's a challenge to do, and it can be fun once you've got the grip of it. So the words form the shape of the object that describe it, and then the description can fill the shape or outline it. So generally you would kind of maybe draw your image first and then either fill it up like the snowman or write around the edges like the big blue whale by Catherine Appel. So if you look at the snowman one, it says, it's cold outside. I don't want to go outdoors and play, but my mum says I have to anyway. It starts to snow and I'm going to freeze. Brr, I hate playing outside on days like these. Brr, but wait a sec. I've had the most amazing, brilliant idea. I'll cover myself up with snow and I'll hide in here. Okay, so that is a nice challenge for you guys to do. The concrete or shape poem. Then we have a haiku poem. This is the one I said we'd get to explaining. Okay, now haiku poem is a traditional form of Japanese poetry. Okay, it is only made up of 3 lines. So it's a 3-line poem. Okay, but there are a few rules about it. Your first line needs 5 syllables. For example, it has to, do you guys, I think you do understand what syllables are. For example, one on the page says yellow and black stripes. Yellow and black stripes. So it should have 5 syllables in it. 5 places of emphasis on sound. Okay, the second has 7. Bees go flower to flower. All right, so that has 7 syllables. The last one, the third line, again has 5 syllables. Watch out, they can sting. All right, and these kind of poems, the haiku poems, are generally written about simple things like animals or seasons or nature or things like that. So that is one that you can actually try. 3 lines, 5 syllables. Okay, and it's a haiku poem. All right. So I hope you got that, and I hope you're taking notes. Yeah. Okay, what about this? Have you ever heard about the Tanka poem? The Tanka poem. Who's heard about the Tanka poem? Nobody. Well, this form of poetry is very similar to the haiku poem. So it's also got the 5 and 7 syllables, but it has 7 lines. Okay, so it has a count like 5, 7, 5, 7, 7 syllable count. Okay, and it's also usually written about nature and seasons, but it also can be written about very strong emotions. So your line 1 will have 5 syllables. Your line 2 will have 7. Line 3 will have 5. Line 4 will have 7. And line 5 will have 7 again. So if we look at the one below, this is an example for you. It is scorching hot. Warm, dry sand under my feet. The waves are crashing. I hear seagulls in the air. Time for yummy cold ice cream. So your syllables is where you are stressing your sounds. Have you got that with me so far? I hope so, because I see you still chatting about acrostic poems. Yeah, hope you don't miss out. Right, so now we're going to go on to our next examples. So now I'm glad you can do the acrostic poems. I'm very happy, guys. It's awesome. I just don't want you to miss out on anything else. Okay, so the loon poem is made up of 3 lines and uses 11 words in total. So the whole poem only has 11 words. The first line has 3 words, the second has 5, and the last is 3 again. Now, if you don't follow that rule of 3 words, 5 words, 3 words, then it's not a loon poem. Okay, so it's only a loon poem because it has those rules. Let's look at the example. I love dessert. Chocolate is my favorite treat. Oh, so yummy. How easy is that? So yes, loon poem. Oh my word, it sounds so scary and so confusing. How am I ever going to do that? And then you see, oh, it only has 11 words in the entire poem. And you see they don't need to rhyme either. Okay, the next one is a cinquain poem. Okay, so a cinquain poem is 5 lines, but they are arranged in a special kind of way. The first line is your topic, and then after that, every other line kind of describes your topic. So you'll have your noun. This is when you need to know your parts of speech as well. So in the first line, you have your noun. So that's going to be the subject of your poem. In the second line, you'll have 2 adjectives to describe the noun. And then in the third line, you will have an ing action word that will also describe your noun. And you will, in line 4, you'll have a word phrase or a feeling about the subject. And then in line 5, you'll have a synonym for your topic. Okay, so this one is teacher. So teacher's your noun. Kind and smart describes the teacher. So that's your adjectives. Working, helping, writing. Those are your action words that describe the teacher. Then you have word, phrase, or feeling. She loves to read. So it's telling you something about the teacher that she enjoys to do. Okay. And then you have the synonym for your topic, for your noun, Mrs. Sutton. So the teacher's name is Mrs. Sutton. So that's another easy poem that you could do. There's a lot for you to try, quite a few challenges, I think. I hope you guys are up for the challenge. So then the next kind of poem, I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but the next kind of poem is a Diamante poem. All right, now this is a 7-line poem, but it's all about opposites. Okay, and the way it's written, it actually forms the shape of a diamond. That's how we know it's a Diamante poem. Okay, so now let's see if we can follow the rules for this one. So the first one is noun. Okay, so again, you choose a subject. All right, you have 2 adjectives for line 1. So only 2 adjectives, just like in the cinquain poem. Then you have 3 ing words for line 1, just like the cinquain poem. Line 4, you will have 2 nouns that just talk about line 1 and 2. Okay. Line 5, you have ing action words for line 7. So you're actually describing certain lines of the poem. It can be a bit complicated, but the nice thing with this example is it's step by step. Then in line 6, you have 2 adjectives for line 7. And then in line 7, you have 1 noun that is the opposite of line 1. Okay, so you have opposites. You have cat, then it describes the cat. Fluffy, quick. Then it describes what the cat does. Crouching, purring, sleeping. Then it mentions 2 things about the cat. Meow and tuna, 2 nouns. But then it goes to the dog. Line 7, bark and bone. Then the ing words about the dog. Running, licking, jumping. Then some adjectives about the dog. Friendly, lovable. Then the noun, dog. Do you see the opposite? So it starts with cat and it ends with dog. It starts with describing the cat and what the cat's doing. Then it ends with describing the dog and what the dog's doing. Okay. This one I do think is a challenge because you've got to keep track of when you're introducing the next line 7's object. Okay. So yeah, I think I'd love to see if anyone can take on this challenge of a Diamante poem, because I think this is a challenge. And then you have a ballad. Yeah, a ballad stanza poem is, okay, it's 4 lines, all right? And the 4 lines, as you know, is a group called the stanza. Now, a ballad poem, the last word of line 2 and 4 should rhyme. So you see the opposite lines, they should rhyme. Okay, now a ballad poem can be very long, but every stanza has the same rule. For example, this one on friendship. A true friend is there for you when you need them most. They always tell the truth and never ever boast. So the end of your second line and the end of your 4th line need to rhyme. Okay, so this is a nice easy one, but a ballad is very similar. What they used to, instead of having songs in the old days, they used to have ballads. All right. And sometimes ballads can also tell a nice long story. Okay, so moving along. Ooh, have you ever heard of this? Clary Hugh poem. It sounds quite cute. Clary Hugh poem. A Clary Hugh poem is a funny poem about a specific person. It can be a person you know, a famous person, even a character in one of your games or books. And it's made up of 4 lines. 4 lines. Okay, only 4. And the first line is the name that the poem is going to be about. And the end of the second line should rhyme with the name. Okay, so it's a nice rhyming poem. And it should be funny. Okay, so let's see. My gym teacher, Mr. Dunn, really knows how to run, but he stinks at basketball and always takes a fall. So that's a nice funny one. And it rhymes. Cool, eh? Jane Clark loves the park. She runs all around until she drops to the ground. So this is quite a cool poem because it's funny. And the first 2 and the last 2 lines rhyme, and it's only 4 lines. Okay, so this one I think you can all do. It's not really a challenge. And then we have an autobiography poem. Okay, now this is basically a person's autobiography, but in a poem form. And what's nice about this example is it tells you exactly what to do for each line. So if you choose a person's name and you do a bit of research about them, then you know that what to do for each line. Okay, this is a challenge. All right, so the first line is your name of the person whose autobiography you actually going to write about. Line 2, you have 4 adjectives to describe this person. You can do your own biography. It can be about you. You can put your first name at the top. You can write 4 adjectives to describe yourself. In line 3, son or daughter of. So example, you are a son of who, and the person's names, your parents' names. Okay. Lover of, so in other words, what do you love to do? 3 people you love, 3 places you love, or things you love, right? Line 5 is who feels. So you start the line with who feels and you name 3 things you feel. Line 6, who needs, you name 3 things you need. Line 7, who gives, you name 3 things you give. Line 8, who fears, you name 3 things you're scared of. Line 9, who would you like to see? 3 places or things. Line 10 is where do you live? And line 11 is your surname, your last name. So we have an example here. Noah. So the first line, the second line has the 4 adjectives: funny, energetic, smart, caring. And then we have son and daughter of. Son of Angela and Sean. What does he love to do? Lover of books, Legos, and the outdoors. How does the person feel? Who feels happy and thankful and hopeful? What do they need? Who needs love, family, and sunshine? What do they give? Who gives laughter, smiles, and hugs? Lots of hugs. Who fears? What do they fear? Elevators, heights, and the unknown. What would they like to see? Who would like to see Hawaii, Disney World, and the moon? Where do they live? Resident of San Diego, California. And then their surname, Roberts. So now we know the poem is about Noah Roberts. We know who his parents' names are. We know what he loves, what makes him happy, what he needs, what he gives, and what he fears. So it's a little short biography all about you as a person. Okay. So if you had to write an autobiography poem of Nelson Mandela and you put his name in the front, what 4 adjectives would you use to describe him? Who is he the son of, daughter of? What are the 3 people, places, and things he likes to do, etc.? Okay. So there you get the gist of that one. All right. Now we have a color poem. This poem is just so nice and easy. There are 2 types of color poems, okay? The first type describes a color, and it uses the name of that color in the beginning of every line. The second type uses your senses to describe a color, and then you can choose your favorite color, your least favorite color, or a color that represents your mood. Okay. So the first one describes the color. Brown is dirt, brown is mud, brown is wood, brown is a bear, brown is Mother Nature. So that's your first type of color poem. Very short and sweet, and it doesn't have to rhyme, but it does have to start with the color you're writing about. The second one goes into a bit more detail. It's more of a comparison to represent mood. So they use yellow. Yellow looks like sunshine. Yellow sounds like birds chirping. Yellow tastes like lemons. Yellow smells like sweet flowers. Yellow feels like happiness. So it also doesn't rhyme, but it describes yellow to how it makes one feel. So it's the mood of a poem. Okay. Then there are a lot of different types of poems I think you're realizing today. Hey, alliteration, you do know that one because I think you guys love this one. So you're repeating the consonant in the words, okay? And you use them to create a poem, and it can be a bit of a tongue twister. Like Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. She sells seashells by the seashore, so you can get little like wrapped around. This one is about Leo the lion. Leo the lion loved the outdoors. He had 4 very mighty paws. Leo liked the lightning bugs at night. During the day, they were out of sight. So there you can see the alliteration of Leo, lion, loved. Leo liked little lightning. Okay, so that's a nice one to do. Now, we are going to do a poem where you need to pay attention because I'm going to ask you some questions. All right. It's called Mr. Yes and Mr. No. And you need to figure out which words are correct to end the poem with. So you need to help me end the lines of some of the lines of this poem. So we have Mr. Yes and Mr. No could not decide which way to, what should it be? Show, go, slow, or glow. Which one should it be? Okay, someone's paying attention. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to try the ones you guys suggested. Mr. Yes and Mr. No could not decide which way to go. Yeah, that makes sense. They walked all day. They walked all night. They first turned left and then turned flight, bite, might, right. Which one should I go with? Right. Okay, so they first turned left and then turned right. They ran along a railroad track, then turned around and came right, sack, back, crack, black. There we go. Then turned around and came right back. They wandered in and out of town. They hiked up hills and stumbled. Clown, frown, downtown. Here we go. Well done. Pat, pat on the back. They hiked up hills and stumbled down. They strolled in straight line circles and is it squares, shares, bears, or hares? Here we go. Well done, grade fives. They strolled in straight line circles, squares. They climbed up ladders, stomped down stairs, but everywhere they ever went, they wound up there by accident. Because the two could not, he, she, be agree. Which one do you think? Here we go. Well done, Pat Pat. Because the two could not agree on where to go or what to see. So we have Mr. Yes and Mr. No could not decide which way to go. They walked all day, they walked all night. They first turned left and then turned right. They ran along a railroad track, they turned around and came right back. They wandered in and out of town, they hiked up hills and stumbled down. They strolled in straight line circles, squares, they climbed up ladders, stomped downstairs. But everywhere they ever went, they wound up there by accident, because the two could not agree on where to go or what to see. Pat pat. Oh, here's the next part of the poem. We don't know where they are today. They wandered off and gone, astray, delay, stay, or play. Which one do you think? Here we go. They wandered off and gone astray, and no one has the slightest guess where Mr. No and Mr. Yes have ended up and might be. Is it ground, found, pound, or round? Here we go. Ended up and might be found, perhaps upstairs or underground, or in a cab, or overseas, or on the shores of Lake Louise, or paddling up the Amazon. This is to say they're simply gone. But if they do turn up one, tray, lay, stay, or day. Well done. But if they do turn up one day, I think it might be best if they decided not to rove and roam like Mr. Maybe. He's at... Here we go. He's at home. That's quite a funny poem, isn't it? I think so. Well done, pat pat, guys. Pat pat. So we don't know where they are today. They've wandered off and gone astray, and no one has the slightest guess where Mr. No and Mr. Yes have ended up and might be found, perhaps upstairs or underground, or in a cab, or overseas, or on the shores of Lake Louise, or paddling up the Amazon. That is to say, they're simply gone. But if they do turn up one day, I think it might be best if they decide not to rove and roam like Mr. Maybe. He's at home. Okay, so rhyme is your repetition of the end sounds. And if you've noticed, we did that in the previous poem. Here's a nice example as well. I thought it cool. My dog chewed up my homework. He slobbered on it too. So now my homework's ripped to shreds and full of slimy goo. So there you see your rhyming words. Okay, so now we're going to do a different one. Now we're going to do one with opposite. Okay, opposite. So now the word that you must find the opposite of is in brackets. Okay, so something I go to sleep each night. So what is the opposite of after? What is the opposite of after? There we go, before I go to sleep each night. I what? Remove my head. What's the opposite of last? Here we go. Pat, pat. I first remove my head and set it gently something upon. So what's the opposite of up? Here we go. And set it gently down upon the nightstand by my bed. And every something when I wake. So what's the opposite of evening? That's the one. And every morning when I wake, I stretch my arms and yawn, then pick my head up carefully and put it right back on. I put my head on something, the opposite of forward. There we go. That's nicely done, guys. I put my head on backward. When I woke up something, opposite of today. That's tricky. Oh, it's not tricky. You guys got it. Yay! When I woke up yesterday and every time I turn my head, I look the other way. Okay, so let's do it with the answer. Before I go to sleep each night, I first remove my head and set it gently on. Oh, that should be down upon the nightstand by my bed. And every morning when I wake, I stretch my arms and yawn and then pick by, where's my tongue is going cuckoo. Okay, let's try this again. Before I go to sleep each night, I first remove my head and set it gently down upon the nightstand by my bed. And every morning when I wake, I stretch my arms and yawn, then pick my head up carefully and put it right back on. I put my head on backward when I woke up yesterday, and every time I turned my head, I looked the other way. Thanks so much for being patient with me there. My tongue got a bit lost. Okay, let's do this one together. Something walking into walls. So the opposite of finished. What's the opposite of finished? Yes, very good. Nicely done. I started walking into walls and falling what the stairs. There we go, and falling down the stairs. I stumbled into tables and I tumbled something chairs. What's the opposite of under? There we go, over, and I tumbled over chairs. There we go, well done. Today's looking even worse. I woke something in my bed. Opposite of down. Nice. I woke up in my bed and felt around my nightstand, but I couldn't something my head. What's the opposite of lose? Okay, so you lose something and then you find something, but I couldn't find my head. I hope I find it shortly. I'd be something if it were gone. Opposite of happy. Opposite of happy. Yeah, I'd be sad if it were gone. From now on, when I go to bed, I think I'll leave it on. So I started, let's see how it comes all together. I started walking into walls and falling down the stairs. I stumbled into tables and I tumbled over chairs. Today is looking even worse. I woke up in my bed and felt around my nightstand, but I couldn't find my head. I hope I find it shortly. I'd be sad if it were gone. From now on, when I go to bed, I think I'll leave it on. Very good. Well done, guys. Pat, pat. You did an awesome job. Pat, pat. Okay, so the next part of that you can actually use for poetry is a pun. Okay, now a pun is a joke that plays with words a bit. So it makes use of words that have more than one meaning, or words that sound very similar but have different meanings, to create a humorous effect, to be funny. Okay, so you're calling something basically by a different name. Now, it does rely on quite a few words like homophones, homonyms, homographs, and it's all to do with spelling and sound and meaning. Okay, yes, like excellent. All right, so we have a few examples here. Let's talk about it. All right, to the guy who invented zero, thanks for nothing. Europe, Euro. All right, so those are some nice poems, and it is brilliant to use in a poem because it really adds a funny note or humor to the poem. So it's awesome to use for that. I'm sure you can come up with a poem. Now, I really wanted to carry on with this. I've got quite a few fun poems for you to do, but for now, okay, do you still remember from yesterday my email and the grid details? If you can go and just have a look at those details, because I don't want to scroll any further, because then I'm going to spoil it, because I really want to continue doing this with you guys, because I think you're going to really enjoy it. So because our time is coming to a close, the grid doesn't work. Okay, I wonder why. All right. Do you know that we have a new look for it? But I will go on and check today why it's not working. Okay. So thanks for that, because I wouldn't have known if you hadn't told me. Right. So tomorrow we are doing writing. However, I still think, because every day you've literally learned different ways of writing and you have already written along with me, and I think some of you might have sent me some poems already, or you might still do that. So tomorrow we're going to continue with this slide, because I think you're really, really going to enjoy it, and then we'll write our own poem. And we have so many types to choose from. Okay, so we will continue with this tomorrow. I really hope to see you guys here, and that you'll join me again at the same time and the same place. Okay, if it's your first day, welcome. It's great to have you here, but don't worry, the videos and the slides and the PowerPoints are all up in the same place, where in lockdown, #lockdown.school. So if I actually scroll to the end quickly before I love and leave you. Okay, so here you have, going too fast. Yeah, you have the information. So if you go to #lockdown school, you will find our video from this week. Okay, and there's my email address if you want to send me your poem. Okay, you can also follow us on social media. All right, and then tomorrow we're going to continue, and I hope to see you back. I love you guys. Give yourselves a pat on the back, eh? Pat, pat, and see you same time tomorrow.